Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Yisai, the week of Haloscha, and this was a busy week for everybody, and for us too. Weddings, chasnas, graduations and stuff. Let's just go quickly through Haloscha, and then later this week we'll do Shlach. The Haloscha is Haloscha is when you light the menorah. So why do we have to talk about it now? We spoke about it in Shemos, in Teruma and Tetzaveh. Well, making the menorah is not made, even as fully made, it's not made until you light it, because without light there's no menorah. It's like an automobile with no engine. You could, nice transmission, but you're not going anywhere. Or you have a just an engine and no transmission. You can sleep in the car, or you can play the radio, but it's not an automobile because you're not going anywhere. So without the menorah lit, says the Mayim Beis HaShe'eva, it's not a menorah. So since you're talking about a lit menorah, you remind us of the holiday that we are dedicated to the menorah, which is Chanukah. And in Chanukah, how many lights do we light total? 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, plus 6, plus 7, plus 8. If you add it up, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's 36. Yes, so. Isn't it strange that this is the 36th Sedra in the Torah? Interesting, isn't it? That's one little fact I wanted to tell you about Haloscha. And, you know that Aharon had to dedicate all the Leviim. There were 22,000 Leviim, but between the age of 30 and 50, there were about 8,500. To dedicate a Levi, you have to pick them up and move them in 6,000 in 6 directions. Right, left, back and forth, up and down. That's called Hanofa. Move them. Like a piece of meat, you would move around in 6 directions. To pick up 8,500 and some people and move them around, that's an awful hard job for Aaron. 8,500 people, to dedicate them, have to pick them off the ground, means they're elevated higher than a human being, because human beings walk on the ground. They are high-class people, the Leviim. They serve the Kohanim. The Kohanim are the administrators of the Avod on the Mishkan, and the Leviim assist them. So you have to move them around. So that's what Ben Korach, all out of shape. He says, Aaron's a Levi, no one swung him around. And he didn't have to shave his face off like a baby with a razor blade. I had to shave my face off like a razor blade, all my hair over my body with a tar, a razor blade, and I got picked up and moved around. That Ben Korach had to shape a little bit. And a few sentences from now, you'll hear about that. So this is the din of Hanofa. So that's the second thing I want to tell you about, an interesting fact. The third thing is, it says in Haloscha about the idea of Pesach Sheni. If you missed the first Pesach, we give you a chance the 14th day of the next month, Iyar, Pesach Sheni. That's why we eat a piece of matzah on Pesach Sheni, in the month after Pesach, to remind us there was once a yontif called Pesach Sheni, which means if you missed the yontif of Pesach, you can do it again 2 months later, Pesach Sheni. So when do you eat the matzah? On Pesach the 14th, or on Chag HaMatzah the 15th? So is the matzah supposed to remind you of the Korban Pesach, or eating of the matzah? Obviously, if you don't eat the matzah, you're not chayiv koresh. But if you don't bring the korban pesach, you're chayiv koresh. So maybe you should eat the matzah on the 14th. Some say on the 15th. So you can eat a little bit before Shkia and a little after Shkia. By the way, not bringing a korban pesach, if you did it intentionally, you're chayiv koresh. Not eating it, you're not chayiv koresh. You're over a mevatel a mitzvah asay of eating korban pesach, but not bringing the korban pesach, being makriv of it and burning it and being makriv of it, you're chayiv koresh. Isn't it interesting? Of the 248 mitzvahs asay, if you don't do any of them, you're not punished at all. You just missed a mitzvah. Except korban pesach, if you don't do it, you're chayiv koresh. And bris milah, if you don't do that, you're chayiv koresh. You know why? Because the bris in Mitzrayim separated the Klal Yisrael physically from all nations. And the Korban Pesach separated us historically from all nations. All nations worship idols, we don't. We worship an invisible force. So therefore, this has separated you historically because you shefted their God, you burnt their God, smeared their God blood on the wall, you had no fear at all. That means you totally trust in Hashem. That's made you a unique nation historically. And physically, you're a different entity. You're not a full member of the human race. You're a different race called Am Yisrael. We are Kodesh. And therefore, if you don't have a bris, you chai koris. If you don't eat the korban pesach, you chai koris. And those two bloods, you had to mix together and put it on the wall. Before you left Mitzrayim, smear it on the wall. Which means these two things of the 248, these two mitzvahs of the 248 positives, if you don't do them, you chai koris. All the others you don't do them, you just mevatel a mitzvah. But if you don't bring the korban pesach, burn it and sacrifice it, you chai koris. Therefore, you give it a second chance on Pesach Sheni. So why don't you have Shavuot Sheni? Or Sukkot Sheni? I missed it. I was sick. I was unconscious. I was something. I was in the hospital. Why did I not have a chance to sit in the Sukkah the 15th day of Cheshvan, a month after Tishrei? Or Shavuos, Sivan, Tammuz. Why don't I have a second, the 6th of Tammuz? Why don't I have a second Rosh Hashanah? I missed the shofar next month. Or second Yom Kippur, or second Chanukah, or second Purim. Answer is, all these mitzvos that you forgot, if you couldn't do it, you're pater. Ones rachmano patre. Except Korban Pesach, which is a koris. Others, you don't get koris for not shaking the lulav, or not hearing the shofar. And if you couldn't fast Yom Kippur, so you couldn't fast, you're pater. But not here eating the Korban Pesach, it's the only mitzvah, that and bris is the only mitzvah I say that you're chayv kores. So if you had a bris, if a guy gave you a bris, or a Jew who doesn't believe in Hashem, gave you a bris that doesn't keep the mitzvahs, it's not a bris. Even though you remove the arla, there's still no bris. You have to have hatofas dam bris to call the bris. Some people born without an arla still need a bris. Because there's two parts to the bris. Removing the arla and then dam. Hatofas dam bris. Anyhow, so this you have to take care of, Korban Pesach and bris. So there's a Pesach Sheni and there's not a Pesach and there's not a Sheni to any other Yom. It says here in the Bahaloscha that after being around Har Sinai 11 months and 20 days, they were ready to go to Eretz Yisrael. Chamishi in Bahaloscha. Vehi B'shana Hashenis, meaning the year after they left Mitzrayim, which is 2449. Vehi B'shana Hashenis, B'chodesh Hasheni in Iyar. Esem Lachodesh, on the 20th day of the month. Nal Ha'onam Al Mishkan Ha'edus, the cloud went up. Which means when they were camping, the cloud was like this, horizontal. When they were ready to travel, it went like that, vertical. So it went up like that. That means you have to move. After a year, almost a year, 11 months and 20 days after they came to Har Sinai, they were ready to move to Eretz Yisrael. Move on to Eretz Yisrael. 11 months and 20 days, 10 more days would have been a year. Because they came to Har Sinai, Sivan. And in the second month, Iyar, the 20th of Iyar, they started to move. And that means 11 months and 20 days. And they would have gone right there to Israel if they wouldn't have made the Avera of Tave'era, with the lusting and the slav and the quail. And they stayed there a month. And then they sent Meraglim, and they came back after 39 days. And they said there was a giants over there, that's the next week's Pasha, we'll never take the country. So Hashem said, 39 days, 39 years. So they spent 39 years in the Midbar, but they were ready to go from Har Sinai right there to Israel. 11 months and 20 days, 11 and 20 is 31. They would have been true to Hashem and not had these averas of lusting, slav and meat, and not talking Lashon Hara against Eretz Yisrael. They would have gone to Eretz Yisrael and defeated the 31 kings. 20 and 11 is 31. They would have destroyed the 31 kings in Canaan and walked right in. But since they didn't, God had 39 years to prepare, and they took them 7 years to destroy them. And then 7 more years of subdivision of the land. So they could have gone right there to Yisrael, so Hashem rushed them along, and 3-day trip in one day. And they got so exhausted, they said, it's not worth it, we have no sleep, we have no food for 3 days. Hashem wanted to do them a favor and bring them there in one day. They saw it differently. They saw it like a lot of labor and Why do we waste all this free time sleeping and eating? We just had to travel day and night they did it in one day. Like someone gives you $1,000 bill, but you don't accept it because it's dirty, little marks, a little mud on it, a little dirty. Just wipe it off. You got a $7,000, you got $1,000 bill. You don't want to get there yourself because you had to rush day and night for 24 hours. You took them on a 3-day trip in one day. It says there. The Yisu Mahar Hashem, they traveled away from Har Sinai. There, Shlosh Yom, a trip of 3 days, but only took 1 day. The Aron Bris Hashem, those the flame, and the Aron, the Bris of that contained the covenant of Hashem, went in front of them. There, Shlosh Yom, 3 days ahead. Only went a 3-day trip in 1 day. And the Aron used to had a flamethrower in the front. Any guy waiting in the hills and the caves around to attack them was killed by this flamethrower. And that was the Aron. And the cloud of Hashem, there's 7 clouds around Klal Yisrael. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. One way up ahead. Well, the Aron was way up ahead. There were 2 things way up ahead. The Aron brought the mountains down and the hills and the valleys up so they could walk flat, not go down the valleys and over hills. And it would kill snakes and scorpions and people walk barefoot. And the Aron, that was the unknown. The Aron had a flamethrower and killed any ambushes along the way. So and it says the Aron Bris Hashem Nosei Lefneim Derech Shlosh Yomim Va'anan Hashem. The Anan Hashem Aleim Yom V'Yomam was over them during the day. The Nosim in Amachane. So the Anan showed them the Ruach. The Ruach means the direction. The Aron cleared out the derech. The Aron prepared the derech, killed all the scorpions and all the snakes, and got rid of the terrorists on either side of the road and the ambushers, and lowered the mountains and raised the valleys. So the Anan showed them the Ruach, the way to go. And used to go, we followed that, you followed the Ruach. But the Aron actually prepared the derech, the actual road that you're traveling on. So they went and this is they ran away from the Har Hashem like a tinnik habarech b'beis hasefer, like a tinnik that runs away from a school. They were happy to get out of there 11 months and 20 days. They had enough Torah. But Yisum Har Hashem, and they weren't punished. You know why? Because they never said a word bad. The next section coming up, they spoke Lashon Hara against the man. Here they were happy. They learned plenty of Torah, but they didn't want any more. They had enough. 11 months and 20 days, they had enough. And they ran away, couldn't get away fast enough. And it's like a tinnik habarech b'beis hasefer. And that's not good, but they weren't punished because they didn't say a word of Lashon Hara. Then comes 2 Pesukim divider, and then 35 Pesukim about Lashon Hara. Lamed Hey, Lashon Hara. What were these 2 Pesukim? These 2 Pesukim have a nun in front of it, upside down nun, and an upside down nun behind it. And they're inside these 2 Pesukim is 85 letters and 19 words. 19 words and 85 letters. Here it is. Vahi ben Esau Ha'aron, when the Aaron was traveling, Vayomer Moshe said, Kum Hashem, if God would get up, but then all the enemies of us would scram, would run away, they'll be afraid of him. And your haters would go or run away from you. Oy Yevecha is Goyim. Misanecha is Yisrael who hates you. The Goyim want to get rid of you. And there's Jews that are born Jews that hate the fact that they're born Jews. You see that in every generation. They wish they would not have Judaism as a burden. You see it in every generation. You had Karoim, they didn't want to listen to the oral law, and it's documented by Susim. And in modern times you had all different types of people, Reform religion, conservative religion, and Reconstructionist traders. And then even today you have people who want to modernize Torah in not the traditional way. And they don't want the old way. So there's many exit doors to get out. Reform is an exit door. Conservative is an exit door. Reconstruction is modernized. Judaism is another exit door by Susum Tzedukim. We're only looking for a few good men. It started with one good man, and it will end with 36 good men. And we need 22,000 Jews who believe in Hashem fundamentally and believe in Torah and Shemayim, and 36 tzaddikim. So we don't need numbers, because you see he's on the controls. We don't need numbers. We've been around for 4,000 years since Abraham was born in 1948 till now. It's 3,800 years. We've been around a long time. All the nations that came out to destroy us are destroyed. We're not. The Egyptian Empire was finished. The Canaanite nation was finished. The 7 nations there with the 31 kings. And then came the Babylonians. They're gone. And then came the Greeks Empire. They're gone. And then the Roman Empire. They're gone. And the Spanish Empire, and the 1,000-year Reich, the 1,000-year Reich that lasted 12 years, from 1935 to 42. And this one now, Ishmael, will be getting rid of them also. It's just a pattern how it goes. You have to be happy talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we are here forever, we always were here, and we'll be here forever. And we're the weakest and the smallest. We defy the laws of survival of the fittest. We don't, that doesn't apply to us. Because we're not the biggest and not the strongest. We're the smallest and the littlest and the weakest. And we're able to feed everybody. Because Hashem wants it like that. So Moshe said, Kumo, if you could get up, all the enemies would disperse. When they arrested, the camp stopped. Shuva Hashem, he said, Shuva Hashem, return God. Rivavos Alfei Yisrael, on the Rivavos, 20,000. Ravava, 10,000. Rivavos, 20,000. Alfei, twice Elef. 22,000 Yisrael have to keep the Torah. So these two pasukim, they have a nun in front of it and a nun behind it. And why do you have that? It's like brackets. It's out of place. We put it here from a different place. In fact, if you go back, nun stops. You get to the beginning of the third parsha of Bamidbar. This is the 10th and 11th parsha of Bamidbar. So how can you go back 50 places where we're only holding at 11? 50 stops doesn't mean sedras or parochim. It means stops. Stuma and psuka are stops, right? There's 50 of them until this point. If you go back 50, you'll get right to the beginning of the Sefer. The Sefer, the second, after the second part, you'll see it's Bamidbar Gimel, but there's 50 stops from here back. And that's why it's nun. Also, they ran away from Har Hashem. It's like taking a nun, a fish. In Aramaic, nun is a fish. Out of water, he dies. They ran away from Har Hashem. They didn't want no more Torah. So you see what happens soon. Terrible, terrible thing about the lusters with the mead and the slav, the quail. They all dropped dead. Anyone who ate the quail dropped dead. They were Rishoyim. Only Rishoyim ate it. You don't want lechem in a shemayim, and you have to be Rishoyim. So nun means you take nunei hayam, the fish of the sea. Take it out of the sea, it dies. It can't live in air. It needs water. Jews cannot live without Torah. So soon as they ran away from Har Hashem, they weren't punished. But later on, they didn't have air for which they were punished. So that's called nun. That's why the nuns on both sides. They could have had two bases. They look like brackets. Or maybe a long nun, not a little nun. A long nun. Why little nun? Many reasons. One is nun is fish. Well, nun, vav, nun, fish is to have the nun, the small nun at the beginning and the final nun at the end. Why don't we use the long nun at the nun sofit, right? This I don't know, but I know there's 7 reasons for a nun. One is because they ran away from Torah like they know there should have been 50 stops back, nun. And then you left Torah like you take a fish out of water. Also, the nun at the beginning of the two Pesukim and the nun at the end, they ran away from what they said at Har Sinai, Naaseh v'nishma, 2 nuns. Also, the Bnei Yisrael, if you add up the letters in the names, Reuven, not the gematria, the amount of letters in Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zvulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Yosef, and Yamin is 50 letters. And nun is 50. All of them were implicated in this crime here of running away from Hashem. They had enough. Also, Nun stands for Nun Shari Bino. That's what you got at Har Sinai. Nun Shari Bino. I think we have to turn on that light here. There's many reasons for this. Torah is very multi-layered, So it says in Chazal, if a fire is burning in a house, a shul, wherever there's a Sefer Torah, on Shabbos, you can violate the Shabbos and Sefer Torah if it has 19 words and 85 letters, like these two Pesukim. 19 words and 85 letters on one subject, in one place. You can bring the Sefer Torah from the Shus, Yochid, the private home, out to the Carmelis. You can violate a Rabbanon, not a Deraisa. You have to let it burn. If you have to go from Shus Rabbin to the Shus Yochid to the Shus Rabbin, you can't violate Shodesh Tabbas for that. But from a Shus Yochid to a Carmelis, which is most of the world outside of your house, 90% of the world is a Carmelis, because the Shus Rabbin, you have to have a place where 600,000 people travel every day. So very few places are like that. So you can carry a Sefer Torah on a fire, in a fire on Shabbos, from a Shus Yochid, like a private shul or home, to a Carmelis outside. Because if it has 85 letters and 19 words, and that's called the Sefer B'fnei Atzmo. So it comes out that Bereshis is one Sefer, Shmos 2, Vayikra, Bamidbar up to here is 4. These two Pesukim is 5. The rest of Vayikra is 6, and Devarim is 7. So it's not 5 Chumashim, just 7. It's interesting that these 19 words are 7 and 12. Like the Sefer Torah, the first sentence is 7 words. Bereshis bar Elokim, Eis Shemaim, Eis Oretz. And the last pasuk in the Torah is 12. 7, 12 is 19. Same thing here, 7 and 12. One pasuk is 7, one is 12. So this parsha is like a Sefer B'fnei Atzmo. So the first part of Bamidbar is one Sefer. These two Pesukim is another Sefer. The rest of Bamidbar is another Sefer. So instead of Bamidbar being 1, it's 3. So you have 2 extra parshas. So therefore you don't have 5 Chumash, you have 7. And there's a pasuk that the world has 7 pillars. So, now we go to the next 35 Pesukim, all about they wanted meat. You know that's a code word. They don't mean meat. Man was falling from heaven every day. It was crystal. It shined like crystal. It was like coriander seed. It had tasted like everything you wanted to taste like. Cholent and chocolate cake and ice cream and everything you wanted to taste like, it tasted like. Except 5 different foods that a pregnant woman shouldn't eat. Cucumbers and garlic and onions. Not good for a nursing baby. But it tasted like everything you wanted to taste like. Anything you didn't even have to, the tzaddikim didn't have to grind it, pound it, just ate it plain. It tasted like anything your mind wanted to taste like. They didn't want that. They wanted meat. Answer is, they're not fools. Why wouldn't you want heavenly food? You don't have to work for a living, nothing. They didn't mean meat. It was a code word for arayos. They learned in Hasinai all the dinim of Nido and Yichud and Negiah and there are too many restrictions. They didn't like it. They ran away. They wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. They want some meat to eat. That's, a code word for arayos. You know how you know they didn't mean meat? They had more meat than any nation on earth because 40 years later, 2.5 Shvatim had so much cattle, they had to have their own country. Eber LeYarden, from Hermon down to Eilat, 250 or 300 miles, maybe 20 miles wide, 30 miles. They had so much, millions of head of sheep and goats and cattle, probably horses too, donkeys. They had to have their own country, Reuven, Gad, Chatzi, Shevet, Menashe. So it wasn't meat. That's a code word for arayos. So Moshe said, you want meat? Moshe said, even if I shecht all the animals in the world, all the fish in the world I bring, won't be enough. They're complainers. So it's not meat, Hashem. Hashem said, yeah. Moshe said, I can't do this job no more. I can't. I don't want to see you kill them. Rather kill me. So Hashem said to Moshe, you'll see first of all that I'm physically able to bring more meat than they can handle. But I know they don't mean meat, but I'm going to give them so much meat till it's going to come out of their ears, they're going to throw up from nausea. I'm going to give them so much meat. So it says right here, Yishma Hashem Yivayichva, he got hurt, and he was very angry. It means he heard the Lashon Hara. 35 Pesukim about Slug, 35 Lamed Hey is Lashon Hara. He heard what they said. They didn't like even to say they don't like the month. That's a disgusting thing. And the fire came out and killed thousands of people. And then the fire, Moshe prayed, and then the fire went into the ground and stopped. Now we explain why the fire came out. Hasafsuf, I told you, but the pasuk now tells you, the mixed multitude, the Erev Rav, the Hasafsuf, the collected not such good people, they were crying in their tents about their mishpacha. Means about the laws of mishpacha. They didn't like that too much laws or restrictions in the Indian of mishpacha. They didn't like that. They said, who's going to give us some meat to eat? Remember the fish we ate in Mitzrayim? Dog off, female fish that has a lot of eggs. They wanted to get involved more zivug. And Sakishuim, he said, we ate the fish chinam free. Rashi says, you're delirious. In Mitzrayim, they didn't give you straw to build bricks. You said they gave you fresh fish. Free fish. Chinam free. Kishuim, the cucumber, they remember, the avatichim, the melons and the beets. Chatzir, the leeks. But solim, the onions and the shlam, and the shumim, the garlic. Why you mention these 5 things? Because man tastes like everything but these 5 things, because these are different, but not good for nursing mothers. And he said they were delirious. They were delirious. That's what Rashi says. They were delusional. The second opinion is they were forced to be fishermen, so they ate fish. They were forced to be farmers, they ate all these vegetables. My father says in the Mayan, no, from when Moshe showed up on Tishrei till they took him out, and Nisan, 6 months later, the Taka had all the best of everything. Mitzrayim didn't enforce them to slave labor because Mitzrayim knew they were going down. And so they wanted to treat the Jews good, so maybe God would have mercy on them. So he gave them everything they wanted to eat. They gave them the best for 6 months. So, now they said our soul is empty from this. Ain kol, this is nothing this month. Ain kol, ain ikul, there's no digestion in here. Our intestines will become atrophied. Oh, we have this man in front of our eyes, we're sick and tired of it. Haman is then now the Shem says the next 3 pasukim. Haman, this was a parenthetical expression. Haman kizera gad is like coriander seed. Who ain't know, and it looks like ain habadolach crystals. Shining crystals. That's edible. Something very nice to look at. They're complaining against that. And the people go out and they collect and they grind it and they beat it and they cook it and they bake it. They make any kind of cakes they want. And it tastes like the Shad Hashomim, like wafers with honey. Very geschmack of food. And when the towel came down on the ground, the mun came on top of that, and then the towel on top of that, a sandwich. Very aesthetic and very clean. And they cried lemishpachosov about the laws of mishpacha. Everyone at the Pesach of us, oh hell, they didn't like these restrictions. And Hashem was very angry, very. The Ein Moshe Ra, the eyes of Moshe were bad. He didn't know what to say in their defense. Yom Moshe Abel Hashem, so Moshe said to Hashem, Lama, for what purpose? Have you been bad to me? Lama, why? Lama, so she came in, have I not found favor in your eyes? Lama and Lama, 2 different words. It's like Baruch Hu or Baruch Hu. Person gets called to the Torah, he says Baruch Hu, that means they ran away. But if he says it properly, he will say Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu, he will say. That means let us bless God. Not Baruch Hu, they ran away. Or you say Hodu Hashem Kitov. Can't say that. Hodu is a country called India. Hodu means praise Hashem. So he says, Lama, for what purpose did you torturing me? And Lama, how come I have not found favor in your eyes? Put this whole load of this nation on me. I can't do this job. Anochi Risi, did I get conceive them? As Amazeh Anochi Lidatil, did I give birth to them? It's not my Bacharayas. Why you blame me for everything? You said to me, carry him in your bosom, like a man who carries his little baby in his arms, to the land of Asher Nishpato, that you said, Hashem, I should carry them like the land you swore to their fathers. I should care for them. They're too rough. I can't handle them. Where am I going to get enough meat to give them to this Hazeh? Always means Rishoyim. Ki yivko alai, they're crying upon me, saying, to not on a boss of an achayla, give us meat till we can eat it. I can't carry this group. The Esa Losais is almost there. I can't do it. There are too many. There are too many complainers. Then if you're going to treat me like that, please kill me. If you want to do me a favor, I don't want to see my end. That means I don't want to see their end. Okay, you asked me two things, he says. First of all, the job is too big for you, and number two, they're complaining. I'm going to settle one thing first, and then the second thing. Get to me 70 people, and the elders of Israel, a Sanhedrin, and they're the Ziknei Ha'am, that showed in Mitzrayim. They were the Jewish cops, the kapos, who were beaten by the Egyptian Noksim. If the Jews did not do enough work, they beat these Shotrim. So who were some of the Shotrim? We know two wicked ones, Dosan and Aviram. Moshe put them on the Sanhedrin. Of the 70, they were them. Because if a person gets beaten, because the people under you don't do enough work, you have a little feeling and pathos. You're not so fast to judge somebody else very harshly because you know what pain means. He put Dosan and Aviram on the Sanhedrin. These were shoyim. But because if a person came to him with the shala, they could see the pathos, the agony, nosa olim chaveiro. They could feel what another man's going through. They would be, they have feeling for another person. They're the perfect people with a Sanhedrin. And he says, they're going to help you. Now isn't it interesting? Sanhedrin is made up of 70. The 12 Nesiim and 58 other tzaddikim. 58, 12 is 70. The Sanhedrin represents the Ummah Sa'olam, 70. Gog is 12. Gimel, Gog, Gimel. Magog, 58. 58 and 12 is 70. The Gog and Magog represents all the Shoim in the world who want to destroy us. Nowadays we have the Yishmaelim who want to destroy us. That's Gog and Magog. Years ago it was the Nazis. Before that it was the Roman Empire. Gog and Magog is any nation that represents all the nations of the world. All want to kill us, not just Muslim. They're doing the dirty work. But Gog is Gimel, Gog, Gimel, 12. Magog was 58, no 70. Sanhedrin, we came to Mitzrayim with 70 people, and we have 70 people in Sanhedrin. The arch enemy was of Klal Yisrael. There's a nation called Gog and Magog. It could be any nation now, we think it's them, but they represent everybody else, and that's also 70. Gog and Magog. Just like the Sanhedrin, 12 Nesiim and 58 other people. I'm going to stand them around the Ohel Moed, and I'm going to speak to you only. They'll hear that I speak to you, but they won't understand a word. It'll be gibberish to them. But they're going to see that I speak to you, and you'll tell them over what I said. From here, we have the concept of Halacha Moshe Sinai. There's no right. For Halacha Moshe Sinai, there's no pasuk. There's no Chal V'chomer, no remez, no gematria, nothing. No remez anywhere about anything. For instance, where is there any remez that the tefillin have to be black square leather? Where is there a remez that you have to shecht an animal with a knife at the neck? And 100 other examples I can give you. That's Halacha Moshe Sinai. Hashem told Moshe, that's it. Or where in the Torah where do you see the concept that you can write one word in a certain word in the Torah and read it a different way? Because Hashem told Moshe that. 90% of the Torah is Halacha Moshe Sinai. So this is the proof, Halacha Moshe Sinai Mikan. Because I'll be the 70 people will be around the Ohel Moed, and I'll speak just to you, and they'll hear that. But they won't know what I'm saying. They're a bunch of gibberish. Like if I tell you a complicated chemical formula, you won't understand a word, even though you hear every letter. You won't understand what's going on. Or some kind of formula for something. You hear the words, but you don't know what's going on. So they'll see that I'm speaking to you, but they won't understand the word. With you, virality, and I'll come down with Yibarti, imachov, speak only with you, not with them. But they saw him speaking with you. That's the I like to get the concept of Halacha Moshe Sinai. And I'm going to take a little ruach out for you and give it to the 70 people, and they'll all be Nevi'im. Which means if you take a candle, from that one candle you like 170 other candles, the original candle doesn't get less. And about the people, you can't do the job alone, I'll give you 70. Now about the people who are complaining. Let's deal with them. About to tell them to get ready for tomorrow, because tomorrow it's going to happen. What's going to happen? I'm going to give you quail, slav. Be so much you can't even imagine. Lo yom echad, not just a day's amount. Tochlun, you eat, not only a day's amount. V'lo yomayim, not 2 days even. V'lo chamish yomim, not even 5 days amount. V'lo asor yomim, not even 10 days amount. V'lo esrom yomim, not 20 days. Ad chodesh yom, it'll be up to a month, 30 days. It's going to come out of your nose. You're going to find it disgusting. They'll be nauseous to you. In fact, it says every single person who ate the slav died. And most of them got killed by concussion. The slav hit them in the head, killed them, more than by choking from the slav. Hashem, you despise God, His miraculous food. He's amongst you. You know why you have such a chutzpah? Because God is amongst you. How come Jews have such a chutzpah more than other nations in the world, every nation in the world? Am Kishay Orav, the worst, stubbornest nation in the world. Where do you get the nerve and the chutzpah? Because Hashem is Bekir B'chem. He gave you the power to even give up your life for Hashem or to go against Hashem. You have that tremendous power no other nation has. There was a certain, I don't even mention his name, the founder of Reconstructionist Judaism. I don't want to say Yimach Shema, maybe he did tshuva last minute. Certain Baruch called himself rabbi. You know he had a Sefer Torah written in Eretz Yisrael without Hashem's name in it? Where do you get a nerve like this? Where does that man from the other religion, how does he get the nerve to say he's some divine creature? Where do you get the nerve? Where do you get the chutzpah? Am Kisha Oref, tremendous, stubborn people we are. Yeah, for Hashem too. We'll give up our life for Hashem. Or the other way around. Because Hashem bekivchem. That's the source of our courage and our chutzpah. Tivku lefonai, and you cried in front of me. Where do you get the nerve after 40 days to make an egel? Not 40 years, 40 days. From the 6th of Sivan to the 17th of Tammuz. 40 days you made an egel, and you said, Eilo lekefu Yisrael, this is your God Yisrael. Where do you get that nerve? Where do you get that nerve? That chutzpah? Only Bekir B'chem, because God is amongst you. He gave you that self-confidence. That you could swear that 2 and 2 is 5. And you could dedicate your life to it. Where do you get the nerve or self-confidence? Because Hashem is Bekir B'chem. He could turn you into the worst or the best person. And then you cried before me, why did this man take us out of Mitzrayim? Moshe, no, you mean Hashem. Zeh. It's Hashem. Zeh Keli V'Adleinu. Yo, Moshe said, 600,000 Reagli, I'm the head of 600,000 males. And you said, Bosser, you give them meat? Really? For a month? If I shecht all the sheep and goats and cows in the world, it won't be enough for them. I called the Gehayam, all the fish of the sea. It's not enough. They're not interested in meat. I told you, Hashem, it's something else they're interested in. They're unhappy with your restrictions. That's what it is. Now listen, it says like this. It won't be, it'll be more than a day and 2 days. And 5 days, and 10 days, and 20 days, and a month is 29, and a fraction days. If you add up all these days, you get 67. Isn't that interesting? It's 67 times a year we have to eat meat. 50 Shabbosots and 17 Yom Tov. That's 67. Where do you get 50 Shabbosots? Yeah, in a regular year, that's not a leap year. It's 50. And 17 is 67. How do you get 17 in Yom Tov? 7 days Pesach in the Torah. 8 days Sukkot, because it's 7 plus Shmini Atzeres is 8, is 15. And Shavuos is 1. Rosh Hashanah is 1. That's 17. So 67 days a year you have to eat meat. And then it says, lo, not only we eat 1 day. So the 67 days you're not allowed to eat meat. What is that? Some people very machmir don't eat the whole month of Av any meat. And Elul, they're doing tshuva, that's already 58 days, 2 months. And then the 8 days up to Yom Kippur, 58, and Yom Kippur. So every Yom Kippur you have to eat. There's only day in the year you're mechuyev to eat. So you have 58 years of Av and Elul. Tishrei is 8, the first 8 days. 58 and 8 is 67, 66, and Yom Kippur 67. Every Yom Kippur you have to eat. So the 67 days a year you could fast, the 67 days you have to eat meat. Anyhow, Moshe says, I'm going to give you enough of this stuff, it's going to kill you, you're going to choke on it. He says, is Hashem's hand too short? Hashem said, I know what I mean, Arayas, but I'm going to show you I can do to me too. So Hashem took off from the spirit of Moshe and put it on these 70 people. Now there was, how did Moshe pick? You know, you have to have 70, but 12 Shvatim is 6 from each Shevet is 72. Now who you're going to tell one of these two Shvatims, some two of them, only give me 5 people? Which Shevet you can say only 75? Because 72, we only need 70. Moshe is a 71 for the vote. Moshe could be the extra one. But you know why you need 71, so it should never be a tie. The smaller Bezdin is 22. It shouldn't be a tie. You add 1, 23. And the little Bezdin of 3, 2 is enough. 2 Eidim is enough. You add 1, so it shouldn't be a tie. Everyone has to vote. Every Dayan has to vote. Cannot abstain. So that the spirit went off of Moshe, went on these. So how do you do it? So he wrote 70 pieces of parchments. On 70 he wrote Lashem, and then on 2 are blank. So a person picked the 2. Hashem doesn't want you as a and the Sanhedrin go home. But 70 was those who picked. Amongst the 70, there were 2 people who were called to come out to join the Sanhedrin. They didn't want to go. They felt they're not fit, they're not roy. They were such tzaddikim. Moshe's half brothers, Eldad and Medad. Moshe's half brothers. He said, we're not roy for this job. We don't think we're fit for this. Hashem said, because you don't think you're fit, I want you spot. Dafka. Now, Eldad and Medad, how do you get such a name? When Amram was in Mitzrayim, Moshe's father, and the Pharaoh said, we're going to kill every male child that's born. So he said, if you live with your wife, you have to have children. So I'll divorce my wife, and they won't have any children, so they won't have to kill them. So Miriam, 6-year-old Moshe's sister, ran to Amram and says, you're worse than Pharaoh. Pharaoh only want to kill the males, and you want to kill they don't even want to have females. I'm a female. So he says, you're right. He heard that was a nevuah from a 6-year-old child, and he remarried his wife. While his wife was divorced, she married another man, Elsophan ben Parnach, and had 2 sons, Eldad and Medad. And Elsophan ben Parnach was Yochevet's uncle. That's why it's called Eldad, to the uncle, and Medad from the uncle. And then Miriam talked sense to her father, and he remarried his mother again. So the Moshe's half brothers. But there's a problem. When you divorce your wife, you're allowed to marry her back the next day, 20 years later, as long as she didn't marry anybody else. But she got married to somebody else, how can you take her back? So you say it's before Matan Torah. Okay. Others hold no. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov did all the things in the Torah, even most before Matan Torah. Because they kept the Torah. So they want to give another teretz. He didn't divorce her. He married another woman. They had 2 other children. Same father. So Moshe's half brothers from that, and didn't divorce his wife. So he could have more than one wife. So that was Moshe's half brothers from the father. So they said like this, they were prophesying in the Machne. They said, the Jewish Machne will be deserted from Moshe. Moshe's going to die, and Yeshua is going to lead us in Eretz Yisrael. Moshe didn't know that yet. So Gershom comes running. Vayaretz Hanar, he said, Moshe's younger son, hey, they're talking bad things in the camp about you're going to die, and Yeshua is going to take us in Eretz Yisrael. And then the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says an unbelievable thing. He said they're prophesying about an atomic explosion. Kirus Atimus. At the end of days, there'll be a Kirus Atimus, an atomic explosion, and everybody will be killed. It means a lot of people. Look in Targum Yonasan ben Uziel. They want to say Akira Satimos is like a wall of atomic explosion which kills everybody. Then Targum says if their dust fall out, fire will go like fall out all over the world. People will kill millions of people. Sounds like Achos Hayom, doesn't it? So he says, so Yeshua said, Moshe, you have to claw him, you got to kill them, stop them. Moshe says, no, you're jealous for me. I wish everybody was a Navi. I don't need this job. Moshe was not jealous of it. Hamakana Atali, you're jealous for me? Let them read, let them do what he will say what they want. Me thank Kolam Hashem Nevi'im. Wish everybody was a Navi. Ki yitan Hashem's ruach aleim. God should put a full spirit on everybody. Let them all be in Nevi'im. I don't care if I don't care what they say about me. Whatever it'll be, it'll be. So then the Slav came from the Yam, from the Mediterranean, and dropped it over the whole camp. Amosayim, 2 amos, 4 feet up to here. So you wouldn't have to bend down. And they started eating it, and it came out of their ear, nose, and they died, thousands of them. The least man collected Asora Chamorim. That's 5,000 pounds. You know why? You have, the measurement from a besa to a lug, and then eventually, it goes up to an isoron, a tenth of an ephah, then an ephah, and then this is 10 ephahs. A chamor is 10 ephahs. Now, an ephah is 50 pounds, because the displacement of 435 eggs. Average egg, 2 ounces. It's about 50 pounds. If the bigger egg, so it's 60 pounds. And if it's a smaller egg, it's 40 pounds. So 50 pounds is a ephah. And a isoron, a tenth of that is 5 pounds. And 10 tenths is an ephah. Isoron is a tenth. So that's 50 pounds. Chamor is 10. Chomor is 10 times ephah is 500. It's 10 times 50 is 5. 10 times 50 is 500, right. 500 pounds. The least man collected 500 pounds of slub of quail. Ten times 50 is 500. And the basa was between their teeth before it was chewed up. And Hashem's fury was let loose, and he smote the people, Makoraba, very big smote, 1,000 dropped dead. They called that place Kivros Hatavo, the graves of the lusters. And then comes the story of Miriam talking Lashon Hara. So look how it goes. They talking Lashon Hara against Moshe and Hashem about the man. Then comes Miriam. Next week, Sedra Shlach, Meraglim, Lashon Hara. The next Sedra after that, Korach, Lashon Hara against Hashem and Moshe. It follows a pattern. And then Miriam spoke and Aaron about the brother Moshe that we all are Nevi'im. Why does he abandon his wife? Because Sipporah told me Moshe doesn't sleep with her anymore, and we're Nevi'im. We sleep with our husbands and wives, Aaron and Miriam. And why is he no different than us? I feel for my sister-in-law Sipporah. It's not right what Moshe's doing. So Hashem comes to all 3 of them instantly, right in the middle while they're doing Tashmish Amita. The other 2, and he says, Moshe and the other, come outside, I want to talk to you. And he scolds Miriam and Aaron. And the Torah tells you that Moshe was the Ish Anav, the most modest man to ever walk the face of the earth. And he didn't care what they're saying about him. Yom Hashem Pisom, God said suddenly, El Moshe, Aaron, and to Miriam, all 3 of them, Tzlu Shaloshtechem, go out in the public, all 3 of you. In front of the Ohel Moed, they all went out. The Yered Hashem B'Onon, God came down in a cloud. Yom Pesach Ohel, and he stood in front of the Ohel. Yikra Aaron and Miriam, and he says, you Aaron and Miriam, come here. But Yesu Shneim, not Moshe. Yom Shimon, do I listen to me, you people, what I have to say? If you think you're a Navi, yeah, you may be, but you're nowhere near him. Hashem b'marei lov esfado. I don't appear to him in a vision, in a dream, like I appear to you. The Chalom Adabbo, you think I did speak to him in riddles, in a dream? Lo Ken Abdi, that's how I speak to you, and your brother Aaron. Lo Ken Abdi Moshe, not my servant Moshe. Moshe is called Abdi. Very few people in the world are called Abdi. Avram is called Abdi. Aaron is called Abdi. He's very loyal in my house. He can come and go anytime he wants. I speak to him mouth to mouth. conscious, alert, standing up, not in a dream or in vision like you. I don't teach him, speak to him bechidos, in allegory. He sees the picture of God that's grace as close as a human being can see it. Why were you not afraid to talk about my servant Moshe? And Hashem left in a fury. And Aaron went away from the Ohel, and Miriam was completely white with saras. Why not Aaron also? Why Aaron also? Why not Aaron? Aaron didn't have saras. He had it, but it went away. How come Miriam was left with saras? Maybe this thing took 5 minutes, maybe an hour. Who knows? So the reason that Miriam had longer saras than Aaron, because she started it. She's older, and she's a Neviah. Didn't say Aaron's a Navi. Yeah, you hear it. The guy speaks to you in a dream, but Miriam's a greater Navi than Aaron. Because you're a greater Navi, and because you're older, and because you started, she has saras longer. So Aaron says, please pray for her. She's part of our flesh. So Moshe made the shortest prayer ever, 5 words. Kel Lord of all no law. Please, Moshe, take away her sin in this world and in the next world. So, Kel Lord of all no law. If you add it up, the gematria is 449. And Mitzvah Kotna 449 is 8, and 9 and 17 is 8. Don't let have any effect in the world to come on her. Take away the sin completely. She'll be no future punishment. And if you take the letters, the first letters of Kel Nor Nolo, Aleph Nun, Reish Nun, Lamed is 331. 331 is 7, which means no Roshim in this world. 7 is this world, and 8 is the future world. Please forgive her completely for what she did against you. Hashem said to Moshe, if a father would spit in front of a daughter or a son who's acted disgustingly, and show his disgust, it would be the person would have to go away, quarantine for 7 days. You do it in front of Hashem, which means you, Moshe, represent me. It'll be 14 days. But you know what? Elodayo labo min hadin lios cannot do. Let it be 7 days. It's enough that what comes from the first part of the Kal V'chomer to remain as the original situation. Let it be for 7 days. And Miriam went to the end of the camp. That's where all the riffraff is. The Erev Rav, people, the Gerim, at the end for 7 days. And the camp didn't move for 7 days till Miriam was finished her quarantine. Now, why couldn't they move? While Miriam was there, they moved. Like all the Erev Ravs at the end, and she'll travel at the end for 7 days. Why do they have to not move? Let them move, let them stay at the end. Well, why have to not move? Now I'm going to tell you something that's a mind blower. They waited for her for 7 days. Because she waited for Moshe when she was 6 years old, and he was 3 months old. In the water, she waited behind the bushes. What would happen to that little baby in a little box until the daughter of Pharaoh came down, Bisya, to convert from paganism to Judaism. And one of a mitzvah leads to another mitzvah. She saved the baby Jewish child. So the Gemara says there, how long did she wait? A shlish of a shul, a third of an hour, 20 minutes, 0.3 of an hour. Or reva, maybe a quarter of an hour, 15 minutes, 0.25. It says that the midah tova, reward for a punishment, the punishment for a sin is 1 to 1. But the reward for a mitzvah is 500 times greater than what you invested. If you multiply 0.33 hours that you waited for Moshe, 20 minutes, or maybe 15 minutes, 0.25, or something in between, 15, 17 minutes, somewhere between 0.25 and 0.33, 33 maybe 0.29. If you multiply a quarter, a third of an hour, 500 times, it comes out exactly 7 days. 7 days, 7 times 24 hours is 168 hours. 500 times 0.33 hours is 168. She waited for Moshe 15 to 20 minutes. She got paid back 500 times. They waited for her for 7 days. 7 times 24 hours is 168. 500 times 0.33 hours is 168 hours. Midah Tova Meruba and Midah Barani is 500 times. That's how you know it. That's why they didn't move. They have respect for the mother of Klal Yisrael, who supplied the water. Rabbi Yisrael, we're finished with the parsha of Haloscha. The next parsha will be, try to do it shortly, the parsha of Shalach. So we hope you have a good week. And Yirtzeh Hashem, stay well. I know it was a little bit long before this one got on the air, but we were very busy last week. Sei gesund.